Okay, Jefferson County Court at law number 2 is back in session. Court is in session and calls number 333-778. Case is styled the state of Texas versus James O'Neal Jackson. Mr. Jackson is appearing via Zoom. Mr. Jackson previously was sworn in. Mr. Jackson entered a plea of guilty to the charge of criminal trespassing. Mr. Jackson had acknowledged state's exhibit number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment. He acknowledged his initials on page 2 of that document. His signature was on page 3. His attorney, Mr. Reynolds, waived a record in this case, and the court has before it state's exhibit, well, the trial court certification to defendant's right of appeal. And again, Mr. Jackson, you recognize this document?
I do.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
It is.
And at the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Jackson, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Beg your pardon?
Did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yeah.
And did you understand everything that he went over?
Yeah.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
To the best of my knowledge.
Okay. And Mr. Jackson, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yeah.
Okay, now, state, I have before me state's exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer state's exhibit number 1?
Yes, Your Honor. State offer states 1.
Mr. Reynolds, do you have any objections?
No objections, Judge.
No objections, state's exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Reynolds, you advised and counseled Mr. Jackson. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No evidence to my knowledge, Judge.
And Mr. Jackson, your attorney, Mr. Reynolds, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied? Okay, let me repeat my question. Mr. Jackson.
The microphone, Your Honor. The microphone cut out. Could you repeat that, please, Your Honor? The microphone.
Okay, I will repeat it. Mr. Jackson, your attorney, your attorney has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yeah. You mentioned mental competency, Your Honor.
No. That wasn't the question for you. That was the question for your attorney. And your attorney answered that question. The question that I'm asking you is, your attorney has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yeah.
Okay, has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yay. Yay.
All right. Now, Mr. Jackson, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, in exchange for defendant's plea of guilty in this case, the state is recommending confinement in a Jefferson County jail for a period of 14 days, Your Honor. We're asking that the defendant be given credit for the 14 days he has previously spent in jail, making this a time-served plea agreement, Your Honor. And lastly, we're asking that the court use the time served to both tax and retire the court costs.
Okay, Mr. Jackson. The state is offering that you serve 14 days in the Jefferson County jail. However, you will not have to serve any more time in the Jefferson County jail on this case because you've already served 14 days. Therefore, you'll be given credit for the time that you have already served. The court cost in this case, Mr. Jackson, is $327, but you will not have to pay the $327 because the time that you have spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court costs will be taxed and retired. Mr. Jackson, do you understand the state's offer?
Yeah.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yeah.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, I will follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Jackson, if you do not have anything else holding you in jail, you should be getting out of jail today. Please knock on that door and follow the bailiff, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
And this to the.
Okay, Kelvin Johnson. Kelvin Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may have
No.
a seat, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Johnson,
Sir.
is your full name Kelvin Ray Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Johnson, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Johnson?
I'm blessed to be here, but I'm cold.
Okay, we're gonna try to get you out of there. Now, Mr. Johnson,
Sir.
you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Nathan Reynolds. Mr. Reynolds, do you waive a record in Mr. Johnson's case?
So wait, Judge.
Mr. Johnson, I have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea, well, it's titled information. This information alleges that on or about July 30th of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of theft. Mr. Johnson, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, how do you plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contents.
And hold on a minute, Mr. Johnson. Now, Mr.
Sir.
Johnson, hold on a minute. Now, Mr. Johnson, I have a document before me that has
I got,
some initials on it.
guilty.
You pleading guilty?
Yeah, I'm pleading guilty.
Okay. Now, Mr. Johnson, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yeah, I'm guilty.
Now, Mr. Johnson, I have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea admonishments. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Mr. Johnson, there are a set of initials, KJ, on the line next to boxes, check guilty. Did you
Yes,
place
sir.
your initials on this document? Are these your initials?
Yes, sir.
And on page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
On the next document that's titled trial court certification to defendant right of appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that is titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Johnson, before you signed and initialed these documents, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
Did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
Is everything in these documents true and correct? To the
Yes,
best of
sir.
your knowledge?
Yes.
State, hey, Mr. Johnson, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer States 1?
Yes, Your Honor. State offer states 1.
Any objections?
No objections, Judge.
Okay, no objections. State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Reynolds, you've advised and counseled Mr. Johnson. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand?
None to my knowledge, Judge.
And Mr. Johnson, your attorney, Mr. Reynolds, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, in exchange for defendant's plea of guilty in this case, the state is recommending confinement in the Jefferson County Jail for a period of 60 days, Your Honor. We're asking that the defendant be given credit for any time to which he is entitled by law.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, the state is offering that you serve 60 days in the Jefferson County Jail. You'll be given credit for any time that you are entitled to get by law in this case. And Mr. Johnson, the court cost in this case is $327. Will you be able to pay the $327 court cost?
I can't right now, sir. I just got a job.
I understand. Now, Mr. Johnson, I have before me a document that is titled Affidavit of Indigent, and it has your name, Kevin R. Johnson, on it. On this document, page 2 of this document, it has your signature and the date of December 17th of 2022. And it also has the signature of a magistrate who stated that you met the eligibility requirements for the appointment of court-appointed attorney. That basically meant that you were found to be indigent. Is everything on this document still true and correct today?
Yes, sir.
It states that you had no income. Is that correct?
No, sir, I just got a job, and he told me, I let him know I went to court today. If he said I could hold it until today, I still have my job.
Okay, but I'm saying, but on this document, it stated that at the time that you signed this document, you did not have any income. And so my question,
No, I don't. I'm saying I got a job now.
Understand, but my
Okay,
question.
yeah, I don't have nothing.
Okay, that was my question.
I apologize.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, I will find that you are indigent based on the finding of indigency. Mr. Johnson, the court cost in this case will be waived pursuant to Article 42.15 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. Mr. Johnson, that simply means you won't have to pay the court cost of $327. Mr. Johnson, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Johnson, this will conclude your case. Please knock on the door and follow the bailiff, and you have a blessed day.
So will I go today or no?
Mr. Johnson, if you need some time to talk to your